Ah, hello. Good to see you. Long time no see. Oh, Twitch is being odd. How is Twitch being odd? Wolfborg says it's fine with me. Jigme says it's either missing things. You might want to try refreshing. That might fix the issue. I'm not sure. Let's see. Well, last week we were having some issues with reading Chapter 2, I believe, of the game Tally Ho, and I went in and I changed the some of the settings of the stream recording software, and hopefully that will help. Oh, we put it in full screen, but had that behind other elements. That's odd. It might be an issue with the website. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Let me look at the settings. The frame rate seems to be good, no slow frames. Memory seems to be good. Okay, I think we've got it now. Well, hello everybody. This is Tuski speaking again, and today we'll be playing Chapter 2 of Tally Ho. I was able to restore the game back to Chapter 2 because when I tried reading through Chapter 2 last week, there was a big frame rate issue, so we're going to try again this week. Okay, everything's good, Jigme. That's good. Looks good and sounds good. Okay then. Well, I think that's a good time to start then. Oh, and I've added transitions now. There was an update with Twitch Studio, so now I can have transitions, so check this out. Ta-da! So, the music playing today is Quarter Mix by Freedom Trail Studio. Thank you, Wolfborg and Jigme. Now let's see. Tally Ho by Craig Segal. Chapter 2, On the Rails. All aboard! Cries the conductor of the 10:01 a.m. local to Woodland Center, the village where Aunt Primrose has her estate. As is necessary when you travel, Rory takes his sporty two-seater automobile, while you take the train. You have charge of the suitcases, as Rory's small car would be unable to carry even half of the necessities that a well-mannered gentleman and his servant need in order to maintain proper decorum and elegance for several days away from home. With 6 bags in hand, you jog down the platform at a good clip. Paddington Station is bustling this morning, and the taxi that brought you here was unaccountably slow, and you are cutting this a bit closer than you would have preferred. Working your way through a veritable obstacle course of humanity, you attempt to reach the train before it pulls away. But the flood of people that you must plunge through is vast. Small children who seem to have dropped a coin under a bench, tour guides pointing up towards the great steel and glass arched ceiling for an enthralled crowd, families having their picture drawn by a caricaturist, station workers measuring the platform with a tape measure, and the conductor looks like he is getting ready to shut the door. You simply must not miss this train. The next one isn't for 2 hours, and it would not do to arrive late. It would reflect poorly on Rory, and then he would not have the proper attire for this afternoon's fox hunt. And we all know how well he is at coming up with his own clothing choices. Just as you are nearly within hailing distance of the conductor, a man sporting a bushy ginger beard turns to the woman he is walking with, drops to one knee in the middle of the platform directly in front of you, and begins to propose marriage. The conductor takes out his pocket watch, compares it to the great clock at the center of the platform, and then clicks it closed with a satisfied nod. What do you do? Shout for the conductor to hold the train. I say, conductor, you call, unfortunately bellowing right into the ear of the young woman being proposed to. She recoils backwards, bumping into an elderly gentleman holding a steaming cup of hot cocoa, which splashes onto her dress. Oh, sorry, you say, taken aback. Come along, the conductor says. If you're boarding, let's get on with it. You hop on board and the conductor closes the door. You just made it, the conductor says. Good luck that I heard you. As the train pulls away from the station, you look out the window to see the man with the ginger beard shake his fist at you as the young woman mops at her dress with a cloth. You must allow me to pay for the dry cleaning, I say graciously, and toss them some money. You reach into your pocket and find the money that Rory entrusted to you during your journey. You peel off a suitably large bill, form it into a paper airplane, and then toss it out the window towards the lady. Naturally, you take into account the prevailing air currents caused by the departing train, and the bill wafts into the waiting hand of the young woman, who looks slightly mollified by your gesture. I got an achievement for that. We boarded the train. The conductor directs a worker to stow your luggage and then reaches for your ticket. You and Rory discussed your travel plans last night, and based on Rory's financial situation at the moment, you argued that the best way for you to travel would be the most luxurious way, first class. You explained to Rory that the way in which one's personal servant travels says a good deal about the position of one's employer, and that it was important for him to take his rightful place in today's status-conscious society. I trust you imply, Rory said, but can the old budget withstand such a blow? I trust you implicitly, but can the old budget withstand such a blow? I'm sure it can, undoubtedly, you assure him. Well, have it your way. You hand the conductor your first-class ticket, and he guides you into the well-appointed first-class car at the front of the train. The first-class car is spacious, and your seat is luxurious and cushy. The car also has a table for playing cards, a full bar, and even a string quartet bravely attempting to play light music as the train bumps along. You take your seat, enjoying the fine artwork on the wall, as a waiter approaches you and offers you some club soda. The ladies and gentlemen in the car talk quietly, or sip beverages, laughing and gesturing with their tumblers, ice tinkling. All is well with the world, and you watch out the window as England rolls by. To your right sits an older gentleman, balding, with grey mutton-chop sideburns, wearing military officer's uniform, complete with tarnished gold-colored, colorful medals. One of the medals reads, Colonel Firesnuff, for valor beyond measure. He is puffing out an incredibly smelly pipe and reading the business section of the newspaper. As he examines the stock prices, completely absorbed, you cannot help noticing that his fully spread newspaper, which he is holding in both hands, is taking up a good deal of space. Furthermore, his legs are spread wide, his left knee pushing into your space. Oh no. Not one of those. I hate it when that happens. You know what I mean? When two people are sitting and there's a space between them, but their knees are so out there that no one can sit there. Yeah, exactly, Wolfborg. I remember reading a comic strip where the artist said that she She prevented a double eagle spread like that by sitting between them, and she said she'd never felt that powerful before. I push back on his knee with my right leg, casually but assertively, to claim my space. You say nothing but push on his leg with your own. He does not glance at you, but he resists the pressure of your leg with some additional pressure of his own. As if you are unaware of the war going on with your knees, you look out of the window blithely, but a bead of perspiration begins to form on your brow. You can hear his breathing get labored, sounding something like a bellows with a hole in it. Now see here, he suddenly says, this has gone on quite long enough. I will not stand for violent usurpation. I am hardly a violent usurper, you try to explain, but he is having none of it. Colonel Firesnuff stabs a finger at you. I saw you on the platform and thought you seemed a relatively civil individual. Clearly I was wrong. You are ill-mannered and irreverent towards your elders. I weep for England's future with such ruffians as you, who will not let an old man sit in peace. No, you say, you have me all wrong. Oh really, he says, do you take me for a green recruit? I know a menace when I see one, but I shall play your little game. How do you excuse your poor conduct when I saw it with my own eyes, Well, I'm waiting. It was a regrettable lapse of conduct. I hope you can forgive it. Indeed, it was a regrettable lapse. It's good you can admit it. Yes, of course. It shows some minute speck of morality in an otherwise rotten soul, but yet that speck may someday grow into a blossom that will redeem you yet. There was a chaplain named Fitzroy on an expedition into Rhodesia. He had started his life a scoundrel and a wastrel, much like you, but he redeemed himself with proper contrition and lots of physical exercise and became a godly man. Got caught in a lion trap, as I remember, after some skirmish or other. Whatever became of old Fitzroy, I wonder? What a fascinating story, you say. Wolfwork says my name's Fitzroy now. Yes. I'm glad you can appreciate it. There is a pause as Colonel Firesnuff considers you carefully. Then the hint of a smile cracks through his impassive demeanor, and he slaps you on the back painfully hard. Oh, you're all right. I suppose I can let bygones be bygones, eh, what? I'm Tuski Brown, you say. Pleased to meet you. Tell me, my good man, have you ever seen big game hunting by any chance? I haven't, but I've just read a book by that American chap, Mr. Hemingway, about it. Books, he pshaws. Books won't tell you anything about big game hunting. This one told quite a bit about. Let me tell you a thing or two about this so-called Ernest Henway. What's a hen weigh? About 5 pounds. Excuse me. I need to drink water. I've never heard of him, and therefore I reckon he's pretty small potatoes. I could fill several volumes about what I know about hunting. I suppose your Mr. Henelworth hasn't written several books. Actually, to you. And where are you headed, Brown? Woodland Center to meet my employer, Rory Wintermint. Ah, I'm headed there as well. You don't happen to know a Primrose Patterson, do you? She is the aunt of my employer, as it happens. Well, tar and feather me. We've We're headed to the same place. Rintornello, Old Primrose's estate for the fox hunt. Very good, very good. Foxes, of course, have a certain low cunning that makes for all manner of fun. I hope Rory is a good shot. I'm looking forward to a merry hunt, although, to tell the truth, a fox hunt is not really very exciting when you are a big game hunter like myself, which I believe I may have mentioned. I've hunted moose, water buffalo, hammerhead sharks, even a particularly wily katydid. Katydid? Katydid? Particularly wild. What's it? But a fox hunt can be diverting. I hope your employer can keep up. Yes, I'd like to hear more about that Katie did too. What did Katie do now? Well, I think it was back in '08, and I began hearing tales of a particularly aggressive katydid near my property, he begins. The next hour or so is filled with a long, confusing story that veers into political commentary, opinions on modern art. Wolfborg says Google says it's a bush cricket. Okay. I need to look that up. I want to see what that looks like. A confusing story that veers into political commentary, opinions on modern art, and the expected value of pork bellies in the near future, never returning the topic at hand. Finally, mercifully, you fall asleep. He doesn't notice. Thank you, Wolfborg, for looking that up for me, because I can't look it up in a new tab at the moment. It's related to grasshoppers and crickets and looks like a leaf with legs. Okay. A gong sounds, indicating that a light meal is now available for first-class passengers at this time. You stroll into the refreshment car where you enjoy some fancy sandwiches and a salad of shaved root vegetables with ease. It's an enjoyable enough meal for train fare. The thought of Bergard, exquisite French chef, buoys you. You will soon have the opportunity to enjoy his cooking for several days, and the thought gives you considerable pleasure. A businessman lunching by himself coughs and folds over his newspaper with a crisp flick. The headline proclaims that the well-known sneak thief, Light-Fingered Lou, is rumored to be operating in the vicinity of Woodland Center. The businessman coughs again. Next stop, Brooks Crossing, where we shall pause for 20 minutes, followed by the last stop, Woodland Center, cries the conductor. Placing your napkin down on the table, you prepare for the end of your journey, into the carriage you just came from, and spend some more quality time with Colonel Fire. It might be interesting to explore new vistas and ride the rest of the way in the second or third class carriages. Your first class ticket allows you access to the cheaper carriages, should you choose to mingle with the hoi polloi as the hoi polloi, as it were. Well, we've met Colonel Firesnuff already, and he seems to be a bit temperamental, so let's investigate second class. Deciding to indulge your curiosity about how the other half lives, you walk towards the second-class carriage, noting as you do the distinct lack of expensive fabric on the walls and less solicitous manner of the workers. Second-class carriage is primarily comprised of rows of green padded seats with corded luggage racks above them. Cheap prints of the old masters hang on the walls, framed in dull gilt. A few business people sit together, drinking and arguing about politics. You find a seat in the corner here. There are 4 seats clustered together, 2 facing 2. 3 of the seats are already occupied by what looks like a governess and the small girl she is escorting. The little girl is eating sesame seed crackers, while the governess but you are far more struck by the passenger by the window, who is an extraordinary-looking man in his 20s with long black hair streaked with dark purple. You halt in the middle of taking your seat as you now see upon coming to stare. It is difficult not to make him with silver threads matching his white and silver gloves and his shining black boots. As he looks around the carriage to see who is entering, his hair moves, revealing a small tattoo of an auburn leaf behind his ear. You have never seen anyone who looks like him before, and you become aware that the other passengers in the carriage are doing their very best to express their disapproval at his outlandish appearance, or to ignore him steadfastly. Leaning back languidly against the seat back, he sits up straighter as you approach, and then smiles at you with authentic pleasure in a way that strangers do not do, as he sees you looking at him. "It's the only seat left," he says. "You'll have to sit in it, and I assure you I'll make it fun for you." You can see that he has noticed your eyes flicker to his tattoo, and he lifts an eyebrow in an amused fashion. I sit down next to him. "Nice to meet you. I'm Tuski Brown." "Charmed, Tuski. I'm Hayes Vermillion. It's a pleasure to meet someone nice on this train. You'd be surprised how many people are willing to offer loathsome looks and muttered remarks to a stranger." "Are you traveling far?" you ask. "Not very far. I'm just heading to Woodland Center, to Rottenello, the estate of Primrose Patterson, where I've been invited to—" "What a strange coincidence. That's where I'm headed too. My employer, Rory Wintermint, is Mrs. Patterson's nephew. Are you attending the fox hunt then?" "I am," he says. "Well, that's fun. We'll get to know each other en route and then not have to separate just when we're enjoying each other. Do you know what I mean?" "I think so. What I mean is that most people don't like me at first sight, but I can tell that we're going to be great friends. I knew it the moment I saw you. Is that crazy to say? I feel like that's crazy to say. I've been told that I'm not excellent at boundaries, but I think boundaries are silly, arbitrary things anyway. Don't you agree?" It's difficult to know exactly how to respond to that, so you return to the subject at hand. "How do you know Mrs. Patterson? I would not have guessed, that is, it wouldn't seem as though—" "I have a smashing idea. Let's buy each other drinks and then have a stimulating conversation." "How about the drinks but no conversation? No. Waiter, can we have 2 drinks over here at once?" The waiter glances in your direction. "I'm going on break now." "You didn't say it with the proper authority," Hayes says. "You need more of an aura of command. Do it like this. 'Come here at once, sir.'" The waiter startles and walks over with something of a peevish attitude, but when he sees Hazel's imperial demeanor, he changes his mind. "I was just about to go on break." "Waiter, 2 conversations here, please." "I was just about to go on break, but I can serve you before I go. What can I get you?" Before long, you and Hayes have 2 Mary Queens in fancy glasses in front of you, and you quaff away happily. Hayes drains his glass quickly, and then begins to toy with the swizzle stick. "Oh, I forgot to toast you, to Tuski, my new traveling companion and compatriot." You clink glasses. Some time passes and you find yourself lulled by the thrum of the train and the pulsing of the rail cars over the track. Finally, Hayes turns to you with a devilish smile on his face. "Look at that," he murmurs, motioning with his chin. At the far end of the car is a small table, at which 2 businessmen are sitting, working on some document together. One man stands, stretches, and walks out of the carriage, towards the refreshment car. He leaves behind him a full glass of champagne sitting on the table. "That looks good," Hayes says softly, so that only you can hear. "I have an excellent game to pass the time. Why don't you get that champagne for me?" "You mean a glass of champagne just like that?" "No, I want that exact one. Get it for me. I wonder if you can." Hayes practically hugs himself in glee. "I would be very surprised if you couldn't." Why don't you do it? Why indeed, says Hayes, making a move to stand up. You'd like that, wouldn't you? All right, if you're afraid, and you are afraid, yes, I don't begrudge the fear, but I'd like to hear you admit it yourself. I just want to watch and learn from you. A silent, contagious laugh, starting from somewhere in Hayes's middle, bubbles forth. Timid but willing to be instructed, I can work with that, Hayes says. Watch me closely, watch my every move, and see if you can identify the precise moment of subterfuge. Hayes stands and approaches the businessman. Without calling attention to yourself, you slowly look back over your shoulder at him. Hayes and the man seem to be engaged in an animated conversation. Hayes is laughing, nearly doubled over in mirth at something the businessman has said. After another moment he returns, and plinks down the glass of champagne next to you. You may share with me. Now the real question. Did you see it? No, I didn't. How did you do that? Too bad, Hayes says. A magician never reveals how his tricks are done. You'll have to watch me again later and see if you can spot where the sleight of hand is. It's art, really. A shame you missed it. Some sort of misdirection, I imagine you say. Something much like that, Hayes says comfortably. You'll get there. He drinks down the champagne in one gulp, then turns to the window and falls blissfully asleep. At long last, with a deafening metallic screech and the interminable ringing of the bells, the train comes to a halt at Brooks Crossing, a small village immediately before your own shop. Here the train will load and offload packages. In 20 minutes, quite promptly, it will depart again. Here, passengers are encouraged to stretch their legs, enjoy the well-known La Bobinaire et Chateau de Café, an adorable cafe known for its current scones. Okay, try. And now I'm typing in. I've set the bitrate to 1500, which is the lowest recommended setting on Twitch Studio. Oh. There we go. Yay, it works. Okay, so lowering the bitrate seems to have fixed it. Thank you very much for letting me know, Wolf. I'll read to the top of the page again. Don't say no quite yet, Brown. I anticipated that you might have some moral scruples. That's what makes you a truly good man. I do apologize. There's no need to apologize. Just hear me out, and then you can give me your answer. I have no doubt that I will be able to convince you. You exhale softly and bite back your response. He is, after all, Rory's friend, and it would not do to reject him out of hand. Fig removes one end of the tube, excitement on his face. You must take my painting, make your way into Aunt Primose's art gallery, find a suitable frame and insert your own art into it. Then you must hang it on the wall as if it had been there all along. But surely she will notice a new painting. He removes the rolled-up canvas and spreads it out on his lap, displaying it to you. Your first impression is that it represents an indescribably ugly baboon? A fiendishly deformed millipede wearing a wig, perhaps? Then you see, at the bottom, in Fig's looping handwriting, a lovely portrait of Primrose Patterson. Figs looks at you in a highly energized state, eyes bugging out with anticipation at what he is certain will be your breathtaking positive response to his artwork. What do you think? I fight to maintain a neutral expression in the face of such a grotesque portrait. What truly magnificent. Well, this is really something special and unique, you say. You notice a few people sitting nearby pointing at the portrait and wincing. You do your best to keep Figs from noticing them. After all, you don't want Figs' feelings to be hurt. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you for sharing it with me. I know it's not easy to bare your soul like this. Are we going to take necrotic damage for seeing this? At the painting too long? Do we get damage? Do we lose morale? Figs looks like he is about to burst with pride. Then maybe I do have a chance to persuade Aunt Primrose, and for Mopsy and me to be happy at last. Brown, I shall tell Rory what a wonder you are. Figs rolls the painting back up and stows it safely in his tube. So much psychic damage. This is a matter of life and death, Brown. It means everything to me and Mopsy. Will you take my painting and get it somehow into Aunt Primose's art gallery and lure her in to see it and comment on it? I'll take it, but I would need to ask Mr. Winterman's permission before doing such a thing. Wonderful, wonderful, says Figs. That's the feudal spirit. I knew you had it in you. You won't regret this, Brown, not for a moment. Allow me to stow it with your luggage in the baggage car. It's the very least I can do, and you'll put it up on the wall right when you get there. Wonderful. I must consult Mr. Winterman on this matter before I do anything with it, you say. I must be perfectly clear on that matter. I am very glad indeed, Figs says, not listening to you. He happily chatters away until Mopsy is pleased as punch. Unfortunately, after your conversation with Figs, you now have to bustle if you want to make your purchase at the old gift shop, and you even break into a bit of a jog as you approach the shop. You enter the old gift shop, eager to make your purchase of the Peridot hair stick, already anticipating the joy it will bring Aunt Primrose, and the relief on Rory's face when he sees that you have managed to provide him with an acceptable gift for her this year. The old gift shop is a small boutique with interesting, locally crafted, one-of-a-kind jewelry. The store gives the impression of having about 3 times the amount of merchandise that ought to be able to fit within its dimensions. Shelves stand against every top shelves hang from the ceiling. The store is highly fragile and unstable art that lightly. The counter is Colonel Firesnuff, who stands at the counter. He turns back to the sales clerk, an aggressively freckled young woman who gives off the distinct impression that she has just started working this job about 5 minutes ago. Let me see this to the sales clerk. What do you recommend, girl? What would a woman with a certain brassy style want for her birthday? We have some stained glass vases and some crystal bells with little jeweled clasper. Hair stick, you say? Oh no. Excuse me, you say? Yes, this looks intriguing. The sales clerk lays the hair stick on a velvet mat on the glass counter. Oh, I think this will do admirably, says Colonel Firesnuff. You peer over his shoulder. He is looking at what appears very much to be the one-of-a-kind item you requested via telephone. Well, it's reserved for us. Like, this is specific. Like, this woman is not doing her job well. If she's trying to sell something that has been requested, just sell something else. If I might interrupt for a moment, you say, I believe there has been something of a mistake at hand, that together we might correct. A mistake, you say? Says Colonel Firesnuff, turning to you with chin lifted as if sizing you up for single combat. What seems to be the problem, says the freckled woman at the counter, retreating slightly into herself. The Peridot hair stick you see before you is reserved for me, I fear. I rang up a few days ago asking that it be specifically for me. I do apologize, this is a bit of an awkward situation, but as it is a one-of-a-kind item, I fear I must politely insist. Is that so? Check your records then, miss, Colonel Firesnuff instructs the worker. We shall soon learn the truth of the matter. He paces back and forth in the narrow space between the counter and the shelves of merchandise. The shopkeep pages back and forth in a ledger, but looks up in anguish. I don't know where the records are kept. It's my first day and the manager is away. You gaze at Colonel Firesnuff, and he gazes back. Very well, he says. I can see this is a matter of honor. I have principles, you know. He pauses for a moment to see if you intend to challenge him regarding his claim. When you do not, he continues. I will give you the hair stick to purchase, and I will find another gift just as, if not more, fitting. He makes his purchase and then walks off with dignity. You then buy the hair stick from the shaken worker, pleased that things resolve themselves so neatly. Well, that was a narrow escape. I'm gonna drink some more hot cocoa. He's guilty! I know guilt when I see it. Hi, JP. I hope you're having a nice weekend. All aboard! Comes a cry from across the station, and you are shaken from your thoughts. You look up at the station clock, which you now realize must be slow, as your train is beginning to depart. With an odd feeling of deja vu, you race across the station and onto the platform, but the doors are already closed and the train is in motion. Wait, you cry, wait! But the train does not wait, and you run as quickly as you can towards the slowly retreating caboose, and then... Hope you're having a great weekend and have had a great Christmas as well. I have. It was really nice. It was a much needed break. I'm glad you're having a good weekend. So the train is back to get on. What happens next? I notice Hayes perched on the caboose. Well, hello, he says. Fancy meeting you here. You run as fast as you can, too out of breath to do anything but send a pleading look to Hayes. Hayes, however, has already leaped into action. He steps lightly over the caboose's rear railing and, hanging onto it with one hand, his expression is confident as he urges you to leap. I've got you. I promise not to wonder about the extent to which you ought to trust your safety to Hayes's promise. You jump. And Hayes grasps you firmly and pulls you nimbly to safety, up and over the railing. Safe now, Hayes says. You do make life exciting, don't you? I try. So far you do. He twirls a bit of hair around a finger. Thank you, Hayes. Think nothing of it. I know you'd do likewise for me were I in similar straits. You believed me when I said I'd catch you, didn't you? Don't answer that. And as you watch the world whiz by, you stand near Hayes, enjoying the bright colors of the afternoon unfurl before you, with leaves tumbling and whirling through the air, as if you were in an autumnal kaleidoscope. Oh, we made it onto the train. So we are on Chapter 3. We finally made it after Chapter 2. I'm glad we were able to figure out the technical issues that happened last time we tried to read through Chapter 2. And hopefully it'll be smoother sailing as we go on with the story. Since we finished Chapter 2, I think this is a good time to stop. I've been speaking for about an hour, and my voice needs to rest up a bit. I can feel it. But thank you very, very much for coming in and listening to me tell a story. I really like this game, Tally-Ho by Craig Segal. I like how we have our own stats as a butler. And they change as we make choices in the game. Let's have a look at them. It's been a while since I've checked them. So we're more soothing than abrasive here. We're short on skullduggery, but we're high in persuasion and observation, which is good. Our suspicion is at 10%, so hopefully that doesn't go up. Such low skullduggery, though, gotta hit that up. Yes, if we need to do some subterfuge, we might be in trouble if we don't get it higher. Our reputation with Rory is very high, which is good. We have 51 for ready monies. And again, the music playing in the background is Quarter Mix by Freedom Trail Studio. I hope you enjoyed this playthrough of Chapter 2 of Tally Ho, and I'll hopefully see you next week. The Winter Jam is ending soon, so depending on how things go, I may switch over from Tally Ho temporarily to play some of the games there. And then after that, we'll continue with Chapter 3 of Tally Ho. Thank you so much for the stream. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Wolfborg. Thank you, JP. I'm going to find someone for us to raid now. I'll try to raid Our Chicken Life. It's a Twitch channel that live streams chickens playing. Alright, and I'll see you then. Ta-ra!